Thank you for checking out New Dice. Much appreciated. Hope you find yourself in a good mood when you finish watching this, and maybe you'll learn something and we have a good time learning together. My name's Sean. I'm new to GMing. In fact, I just had my third ever in-person at-home session last Tuesday, and I've got some thoughts on it. We kind of take a look at what I've learned from my table, throw it your way, and then we can discuss it in the comments and talk about this, new GMs. And then for all of you veteran GMs, we bank on you. We bank on you in the comments to help with what I've got wrong or maybe add to what I'm saying. Some of this might be very obvious to you, and you're going, what? This is the world of new GMing. We're trying to get this side figured out so that you don't have to be a forever GM. I got to talk about treasure today, loot today. That's the main thing I want to focus on the pod or on the episode. I always want to call this a podcast. It's not a podcast. On this episode of New Dice. And I also want to talk about my table because I've real quickly, we just had our third session in person. Session 1 was great. It was great. We had a great time. In fact, one of the players messaged me on Discord after the session, and it was like one of those great moments. I'm assuming this is a great moment for all GMs. They said, that was so much fun. And I thought, because I'm Matt Mercer. Now I thought, okay, we've got something going here. It was great. The second session was very fun. We had a big combat. We got to dig into the city a little more that we're in, the little village. And there was a cool cliffhanger at the end about this magic ore that started glowing when there was an earthquake, and it was, 2 and 2 started to get put together. We had session 3 on Tuesday. And everything that I felt after session 1, I felt the exact opposite this last week. Session 3 went, and I could feel like the table was slipping away. I want to talk about that in a little bit, okay, after we talk about the meat and potatoes here with treasure. And I've got some thoughts and maybe some questions for the veteran GMs who watch this channel. What about loot, though? Here's where I fell on this. After 3 sessions of play, I've realized something I've done a bad job of. I haven't given loot, and I think there's a reason for this. I want to talk about the reason, but first, my brain. I love video games. I love video games. So one of my favorite video game franchises, whether you love it or hate it, is Borderlands. One of the things I love about Borderlands, the loot, the guns. It's a looter shooter. You're constantly getting new stuff. You're constantly getting new gear. It's very fun to have new gear. It's very fun in Borderlands to have your inventory filled up with different guns that do different things. And you're like, which one do I want to use? There's so many options. This is awesome. And that's very fun. And you turn a corner, you fight bad guys, and you immediately get another option. And I realized 3 sessions in, I haven't really given my players a ton. I did give them some scrolls that were written. See, there was a pre-written adventure that I ran. And in there, they found specific scrolls. So it was part of the module. And I didn't creatively give them loot. So after this last session, I'm just thinking, like, what is going on? What can I do? I don't give my players loot a lot of times because I've been on the forums, I've watched videos, and there's probably a lot to this that is accurate. And people say, that's a game-breaking item. If you give your players this, they're going to take advantage of it, and your combat's not going to be as difficult. They're going to break the game. They're going to do this and that. And I read those, and it turned me into a person who is skittish to give out gear and loot. I have to erase that from my mind, because when I thought about it, I looked at this right here. This is the Dungeon Master's Guide, the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide. If you go to the back of it in here, this table, in fact, this is all tables of magic items and loot you give your players. There's so much loot right here, right? Look at this. I'm going to read you one right now. Here you go. The Robe of Useful Items. Okay, it sounds awesome. The Robe of Useful Items. You roll a D100 on it, and you find like useful items in this robe. This book is filled with items. You know why? Because they're stinking awesome. And they're what your players want. And they're what you want to give your players. And they are fun. They are fun. So when I left my table and I thought about this for a week, and I'm like, what can I do? I need to inject fun. There are probably a lot of things I need to work on in my DMing that are a more critical cause to the table feeling like it was slipping away from me on Tuesday night. There's obviously a lot more I need to dig into. But one of the things I know I can control is giving my characters items that are fun to play with. More options of things to do. So this is one thing I'm going to inject in, and I'm going to tell you, as if you're a new GM and you maybe fall into that same pitfall I did where you're worried about it, give your players loot. I got to start giving something cool almost every session. Why not? It is fun. So there's a lot of things online to help with this. If you just Google search D&D, like we're playing D&D treasure generator. That's what I Google searched. There's plenty. There was one that came up, loot generator. And you can put your challenge rating in there. You do a loot roll, and you have a party loot roll there. Here we go. It gives you a bunch of items, right? The cloak of billowing, the hat of wizardry, the rope of mending, all these cool sounding items that you can take, write down on one of your 3x5 cards, give them to your players. Give them to your players physical. And here's where I'm learning that from. These right here, these cards are from the D&D starter set, okay? They're great because if I gave out the Dread Helm this week, right? If I give out this Dread Helm, I give the players this. It sits by their character sheet. It's not on their character sheet where they're looking at everything and getting lost and forgetting things. This is there. It's going to catch their eye. While you're wearing this fearsome steel helm, your eyes glow red and the rest of your face is hidden in shadow. The special use, you have advantage on charisma intimidation checks you make to intimidate a humanoid who sees you wearing this helm. Awesome! The Dread Helm! All right? The Dread Helm. You throw it at your players. They now have this. It's cool. It's awesome. It's another thing they can add to their arsenal. In that case, it's for RP. Give them a weapon for something. Might it break the game down the road? It does if you let it. It does if that's what your players want to do. If your players want to break the game, they're going to figure out a way to do it. I don't think keeping them from having cool items like I've been doing is the way. So give your players items. Give your players items. I use the 5e artisanal database. This is from Sly Flourish, Mike Shea over at Sly Flourish. He has a 5e artisanal database. I think to sign up for his Patreon is $2 or $4 a month. So I know that's not free, but you get a lot of stuff out of his artisanal database, and this isn't a commercial for that. I just think it's a really good reference and a really good for new GMs. But one of the things in this artisanal database is a treasure generator, and it's great. Like if I'm looking at it right now, I'm going to click on it. 1st to 4th level characters. The Chime of Opening, a moon-touched sword. This would be a loot, a loot hoard of loot that you could give out to your characters of this level. The Chime of Opening. This hollow metal tube measures about 1 foot long and weighs 1 pound. As a magic action, you can strike the chime to cast a knock. The spell's customary knocking sound is replaced by the clear, ringing tone of the chime, which is audible to 300 feet. The chime can be used 10 times. After the 10th time, it cracks and becomes useless. Give it to your players. Give it to your players. So that's what I'm going to do. My next session, I'm going to give them something right off the bat. All right, they just defeated a bunch of enemies. We ended with combat. They just finished the last person off. I'm going to give them a piece of loot that they found on the main person that they had in this big bugbear. They're going to find some kind of loot on him. And then at the end of the session, they're also going to find loot. I'm going to give them 2 items this week, and they're going to come off of this random generator from Sly Flourish, and I'm excited to do that. Now, so give treasure, new GMs. Give treasure. Well, I don't know where I've been going wrong, but I just want to be open and honest here with you new GMs who are getting excited for this because it's fun to do and it's very exciting. I don't know where I've lost my way at my table, but there is something going on where I need to reel it back in to get that session 1 feeling because I thought I had a fun session go down. I planted a couple seeds of things that could happen with our characters. One of them was that there is a orchard in town that has a fruit in it that's like this fruit that is sought after nationally throughout this continent. So it's a huge export for this village. It's one of the reasons this village survives. They can grow this fruit here. And it's a huge orchard, and there is a bunch of the fruits getting stolen on a regular basis. So my thought was, I've got this uprising in the area that includes a kobold army and bugbears, and there's like an army being put together by this necromancer. So these kobolds, they are kind of a scout party, big scout party that's kind of watching what's happening with this city that my characters are in. And they are coming and they're raiding this orchard and taking a bunch of the fruit and taking it back to their base. So I thought this is a cool way to talk about how important this fruit is, introduce the kobolds and these bugbears who are like their leaders, and also show the players where one of these fortresses is, one of these bases for kobolds. I thought that's kind of cool, right? As we set the tone. Well, they ended up, finding these kobolds. They actually didn't infiltrate the cave that they have as their base, which I was kind of ready for. They decided, wait, let's wait. There's maybe a lot of them. Let's try to intercept them coming back to steal. So that's what they did. They had a huge battle in there. In the middle of that, I also introduced a feature in this area, this world that was once like totally built out, kind of Horizon Zero Dawn-y. A cataclysm happened and it devoured the world, which is now the old world, and the world was reborn, and now society is trying to rebuild on it. So there's some like old world things that still exist. Well, one of the things my characters found, was a cathedral, like a standing that I'm trying to figure out what it's going to be, but it had been consumed by the earth, and so it's pretty much on end, like standing on end, but underground. So they found a hole. That hole was in the shape of a door. When they look down, they see the building, but the building is on end, so they could see the back wall when they look straight down. And they're going to come back to it. They saw some things moving around back there. So I thought there was a lot of cool stuff there, but there's a disconnect at my table, and I feel like maybe it was, I wasn't as sold in the story I was telling to start. I wasn't as sold on this orchard. I didn't have a whole lot to get. I wanted the characters to get to this cave with the kobolds and maybe do the fight, and I was kind of ready for that. And I wasn't sold on the beginning. And one of the things I've taken away is I've got to remember, as the GM, as opposed to a player, where as a player you can kind of be in and out a little bit. You want to be paying attention always, but you could kind of get away with disappearing for a little bit and maybe letting your mind wander for a second because someone else at your table and maybe is interacting. So they're kind of lifting the heavy burden. As the GM, you've got to be locked in. You do not get to kind of just hem and haw through parts. You're the storyteller. And I kind of think I forgot about that for a little bit. And I wanted to get to a part, and the player brain in me was like, well, I'm excited for us to get to combat. And so I thought that as a GM, well, then I didn't provide the characters with what they needed to get to combat. And so I think there's just a focus that you need to remember to have as a GM of switching from someone like me who is a player into a GM, switching your brain into, you got to be, one of the sacrifices, and I don't know if it's a sacrifice, but one of the things you have to retrain your mind to do is you don't really get a break. You don't really get to just sit back. Even when the players are talking amongst themselves, yes, you can do other things and you can maybe think about what's coming up, but you do need to be listening to them because they're going to be throwing things in there that you're going to need to reference and that are important to this conversation. And so I think I just kind of lost my way. I think I let myself get a little lazy with the story and just kind of, just I know what's going on. So why wouldn't they? Well, because they're not in your brain. Anyhow, there's that. I do have a question. I wanted to finish this with a question. So in my world, this would maybe be for the veterans, and I apologize this is going so long. I've got this ore, this mountain. I've got this village, right? One of the big things that's a secret, they found this ore in this big mountain north of town. It's a very special, mysterious ore. What the village knows about it, and they're exporting this ore to the capital of our continent. This ore is very lightweight. It's very, very durable. It's as durable as any other metal you can think of for weapons and armor, but it's super lightweight. You lift it, you have a big chunk of this ore, you expect it to be so heavy, it's light. So it's great for making armor. It's great for making weapons because they're all light. You're not encumbered with this weight. And so far, that's what everyone knows about it. But the necromancer who's going to come in and wants to get access to this ore has found something out about it. This ore contains more than just the ability to be lightweight. I want this ore to be able to be magical. And maybe this necromancer has found some old weapons from before the cataclysm. And these weapons are made of this ore. And that's what's got him wanting this ore because something's going on here. And he knows that there is a way to activate them. To harness the real power of the ore. I've just got to figure out as the GM what that is. And so this is what I bring to veteran GMs or new GMs and exercise. What's this going to be? What's going to bring this ore to life so that if my characters find a sword, a cool sword made of this ore, my fighter picks it up and they're like, holy cow, this is half as lightweight as anything I've ever held. This is crazy. I'm so mobile with this. But I need there to be something else that's this can be activated. to become a +1 or +2 sword, or it does something. What's that going to be? What is going to be the activation? Is it that it is when it kills something, it absorbs like death, it absorbs souls? That sounds really dark, but that could be something. Is it something positive, like the sun? This ore has been in the earth, and when it comes out into the sun, it's like solar power. It absorbs it and it activates it. What's it going to be? I need to figure that out. All right, that's what I got for you today. Thanks for checking out New Dice. Tell a friend, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching.